Back talking about Danny Jacobs, and shout out to the LDBC podcast, the Smoke Mob podcast they did last night. You can go check it out. I'll link it in the description one more time so y'all know there's Trill. And we back. And they brought up an interesting fact, and Black Fight Fan brought this up on the podcast. Shout out to him. Shout out to the homie JB from Trap House Boxing that made an appearance on there as well. And Black Fight Fan said that Danny Jacobs made a mistake signing with Eddie Hearn. And he was a guinea pig, basically. And I definitely agree looking at it. Now, the one thing that Eddie Hearn did do for Danny Jacobs is he got him that 5 or 6 fight deal with HBO. And that right there is the price of admission for the promotional deal with Eddie Hearn. I will say that. But their whole thing for Danny Jacobs is to play prevent defense with him until they can get an available fight with a rematch with Gennady Golovkin or Canelo Alvarez. But the bad thing about that is that might not happen no time soon. Oscar's already talking about a third fight. And Golovkin's already talking about moving up, facing the champion of the World Boxing Super Series tournament, the winner of that. And he's waiting around for a Golovkin rematch that may not happen at 160 pounds. Golovkin might get the hell on out of there. So they basically trying to protect an investment and trying to basically make a fight with Golovkin or make a fight with Canelo Alvarez. Now, obviously, if you didn't know, Gary Spike O'Sullivan and Danny Jacobs, it ain't happening. Because Golden Boy controls Spike O'Sullivan, Gary Spike O'Sullivan. He's their fighter. And they telling him, don't do it. According to Eddie Hearn, the manager, the trainer, the fighter wants to fight, but Golden Boy saying don't do it. So it's believed that Spike O'Sullivan will have a potential fight with David Lemieux or Canelo Alvarez down the line. So where does that leave Danny Jacobs? If they don't want to let Spike O'Sullivan, face Danny Jacobs, and Golovkin moves up, where does that leave Danny Jacobs? Andrade said he don't want to fight Danny Jacobs. They too close. They like brothers. So where does that leave Danny Jacobs? What does Matchroom USA have to offer? What do they have to offer him and Jarrell Big Baby Miller? Miller, Joshua? Okay. But I don't think that's going to happen. But what do they have to offer? It's a test. They're testing the U.S. market out to see if they can crack it. And truth be told, they don't even have a death grip on the U.K. So how can you not control the U.K. and dominate the U.K., but you're going to come to America and dominate America? Like Eddie's dad said, Barry Hearn said, America's the toughest market to crack. Because you know why? We just not boxing and soccer fans over here. You got American football. You got soccer that's rising. You got tennis that's continuing to rise. You got NASCAR to compete with. You got college football, college basketball, NBA, and MLB baseball. It's just not a small area with just soccer, boxing, and those are the two main sports. In America, you got flavors, baby. And it's tough to crack that market. And if they can't dominate the UK market and they struggling with guys like Frank Warren, how are you going to compete with guys like Bob Arum and Oscar De La Hoya, main events, Lou DiBella, Al Heyman being a manager? How can you compete with that? You know? And they trying to match this dude in New York City and make him a brand in New York City, first of all, and try to break ground like Golovkin did there off of facing UK-based fighters. It don't work like that. They got to be able to take risks, but they don't want to take risks because they don't want to fumble the ball and cough up a Canelo or Golovkin fight, which may not happen and probably won't happen for a long time. And Danny Jacobs very may well outgrow the weight class waiting on Canelo Alvarez. And why not make the Jamal Charlo fight happen this year? And that's a fight that HBO was told not to talk after the Jacobs and Arias fight. It's a fight that Eddie Hearn has dismissed. And the reason Eddie Hearn is able to work with HBO is only because Anthony Joshua is heading over there. Anthony Joshua is the major key. He's headed over to HBO to complicate the Wilder thing even more. So Danny Jacobs, I mean, it's a mistake. It was a mistake doing this. Other than having the security of a multi-fight deal with HBO, which he think it promises him some fights, but it don't promise him nothing. It don't promise him nothing. But UK-based fighters. Now, he's probably going to fight Andy Lee now. But he can't. He wants Jamal Charlo, but they tell him don't do it. And Jamal Charlo has to, if he wins the interim belt versus Hugh Kemp Centennial Jr. and Canelo and Triple G does it again, they're gonna strip. They probably gonna strip Triple G, and he's gonna be the regular WBC champion. Then do Danny Jacobs and Jamal Charlo? I still doubt it because they don't want to give Jamal Charlo that money to come over to HBO. And if he beats Danny Jacobs, they're gonna want to sign him and control him as well. So it's just gonna be. It's gonna be what it is. They're gonna try to wait to Golovkin move up or whatever it is, and Canelo get the belts. But HBO's agenda is to put Danny Jacobs in versus the Canelo Triple G winner. But Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy has a whole different type of agenda. They can continue to face the Ryan Marats, the mandatory. They want to face Gary O'Sullivan. They still want to put David Lemieux with Canelo Alvarez. And Danny Jacobs still going to be left out in the cold without the big fight, without the world championship belt. When they can go ahead and make the interim belt, with Jamal Charlo and Danny Jacobs. But that's not Eddie Hearn want to do. He want to play safe defense like he's doing with Anthony Joshua. But outside the heavyweight division, that's not going to work like that. So they're really souring the investment in Danny Jacobs. And it looks like he made a big, big mistake if they don't start, promoting him and getting him in the right fights and taking risks. But it's your boy TBC. We out.